Coming up on Cronkite Sports Report, legalized sports betting in Arizona is bringing in the money, but is it also fueling addictions?
Women in sports broadcasting are making their mark, especially in Arizona.
And Bobby Hurley won 2 national championships as a player. Now he works to win one as a coach.
Plus, Anthony Robles continues to build his legacy at Mesa High, and his story hits the big screen soon.
These stories and more coming up on Cronkite Sports Report.
Welcome to Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Lindsay Zinti.
And I'm Matt Venezia. Thank you for joining us. Legalized sports gambling in the state of Arizona officially started in September of 2021. And within the first year, Arizonans wagered just over $5 billion on sports. And in 2022, Lindsay, that number reached over $6 billion.
Yeah, for context, that's $2 billion more than the record-setting price Matt Ishbia agreed to buy the Suns for. While legalized sports betting brings in revenue for the state, Jack Pearson explores how the upside is still very much a gamble for some.
Gambling, especially sport betting, is right here. It's in your hands. It's in this device. It is so accessible.
Betting in the state of Arizona is now easier than ever before. The financial benefits are enormous, and according to the Arizona Department of Gaming, the state brought in over $30 million in tax revenue in its first full year of legalized sports gambling. But what's going unnoticed is concerning to gambling counselors. The easy access to sports betting may add fuel to those with addictions.
Might be very clear to you guys. Would you take your choice between your family or continuing to spend all your time doing this? For that 1 or 2 week period where I continued to do it, that choice wasn't clear. That's how addictive it is.
Michael Olson started gambling more than 10 years ago, a time where the only way to place a sports bet online was through illegal websites, a time where it wasn't promoted.
Many weekends I would have $3,000 to $5,000 riding on a weekend, which was 10% of my yearly income.
Now, sports gambling is promoted pretty heavily, and the concern is that it's catching the eyes of people who are on social media apps. It's even catching the eyes of younger adults who are under the age of 21.
My first year or two in college, there were just so many different, websites or books that are definitely not legalized. The kids would just use and then pay a bookie through Venmo or Cash App or any money service. The problem with illegal books is there's no age limit.
Starting young is what gambling counselors like Sue Figueroa fear. They say that people in this age group are at a higher risk to develop an addiction.
They feel and think that they can control it. So they are not likely to get help. I get calls from parents of young adults. They're from colleges in Arizona. And so the parent cannot make the appointment for the young adult. The young adult needs to call, and they don't call.
Figueroa feels social media posts that promote gambling are pretty effective. You'll see accounts post photos of people who have won huge amounts of money, but the reality is, these crazy wins rarely happen.
It is a business, and because maybe 8% of people who gamble develop the disorder, things are not going to change. They're not going to change.
Things may not change in regards to advertisements, but what can change is educating people in the valley to ensure that gambling is done responsibly. In Phoenix, Jack Pearson, Cronkite Sports Report.
Jack Pearson now joins us in studio. Jack, really interesting story there. And outside of spreading awareness for problem gambling, what else can be done?
Matt, it's going to be a difficult issue to solve. Scientists, in fact, have compared placing a bet to taking a drug. That's how addictive sports gambling can be. So when a gambler wins a bet, they get on a high for a certain period of time, and that helps them forget the negative outcomes of sports gambling, which makes them place more and more bets over time. So this needs to be looked at the same sort of level as drugs, alcohol, and tobacco are. And right now, there are currently no federally funded programs that are designed specifically for treating problem gambling. That might be an area that we need to look at as a country.
Jack, you also mentioned the underage crowd and how dangerous it can be for them to illegally bet on these black market websites. What are the concerns around that?
Yeah, these websites are extremely unsafe. Unlike books like DraftKings and FanDuel, they are not regulated, and you don't really know who you're dealing with. You don't know who your bookie is. I've actually spoken to students on the campus of Arizona State. They are on some of these illegal books, and they have said there have been numerous times where they are owed money and did not receive it. And obviously, there's not much you can do about that. When you combine that with warnings from gambling counselors that say that these younger adults are more at risk to develop an addiction, this is extremely frightening. The question is, why are these younger adults so attached to gambling and are so addicted to it? And the problem is, it's just the culture and promotions that are being surrounded about this topic.
Thank you, Jack, for joining us once again, and great story on such an important topic. Still to come on Cronkite Sports Report. Arizona is paving the way for female sports broadcasters, how the industry has grown and where it still needs to go.
Plus, he's a wrestling legend in the Valley. Now Hollywood looks to tell the Anthony Robles story.
Welcome back to Cronkite Sports Report. Women in sports journalism have been breaking barriers for decades, and the trend continues as more and more women take on roles that have been historically reserved just for men. Jonah Krell talked to women broadcasters on the mic here in Arizona to find out where the industry stands now and where it needs to go.
Can't believe I didn't eat any ballpark food today. There's plenty of time for that, though, right?
This has been the work life of Jody Jackson for 23 years in Arizona. But for the Bally Sports Arizona host and reporter, she doesn't think about all that time spent, or the fact that it's actually work.
Every day I try to do the best that I can that day in covering the different teams and sports that I cover. And I do have a lot of fun along the way.
Jackson was named the Arizona Sportscaster of the Year by the National Sports Media Association in January, the first woman to win the award in Arizona's history since its inception in 1959. And even for someone who's covered virtually every Valley sport for as long as she has, the honor isn't validation for her career.
The validation is really when I do a great story or when I do something on the air that I'm proud of, that people at home enjoy watching it and the players and coaches enjoy watching it. So that's really the true validation, but it does mean a lot to me to get that.
But Jackson isn't the only female sportscaster making waves in State 48. In fact, women are making history across the Valley sports tree. Ann Myers-Drysdale is part of both the Phoenix Suns and Mercury broadcast teams as an analyst, and joined by her side on Mercury games is play-by-play voice Cindy Brunson. Lindsey Fry is the radio color analyst for the Coyotes, the fourth woman in NHL history to have such a role. Their success shows that Arizona is a great place for women to find their footing in the industry.
The Cronkite School of Broadcasting at ASU is a big plus. I mean, to me, that's a draw. That says it all right there. You know, the fact that there's so many opportunities and women really have that ability to step through the door because there is an opening for them here in Arizona.
I came here at a great time when sports was just exploding. You know, the Suns were here, the Cardinals were here, but the Coyotes were relatively new when I came, and the Diamondbacks relatively new. I got here just in time for the World Series, and I think there was more opportunity for women. Also, we really took our opportunities and ran with them, and that's always the case when you have success.
And women have run with those opportunities in the last few years. In the NBA, there are currently 6 women hired as broadcasters for a team, and only 2 of those 6 were in the same position 3 years ago. But while women in sports broadcasting roles are becoming more common, the overall landscape is still dominated by men. The 2021 report from the Institute for Diversity and Ethics in Sport gave an F for its sports media gender hiring grade and found that over 85% of reporters were men. Still, the Arizona broadcasters are optimistic about the recent progress and know it needs to keep building.
The trailblazing is happening now, but we just don't want it to stop. Nobody wants to be a one-off. I don't want to be the first and only play-by-play voice for the Mercury. You feel me? I want to be the first of many. Our mission now, collectively, is to make sure that the ball keeps rolling down the hill for others to get opportunities.
It's been a man's world, and it still is, but slowly but surely the women are breaking in different positions, whether it's a general manager position or your president, or, you know, these positions are opening up. And so, but it's nothing new because all of them are qualified. And you only really kind of bring it up when you make a big deal about it.
Myers-Drysdale has said there shouldn't be a big deal every time a woman appears on the screen. And the way things are trending, perhaps women will only have to worry about having a great day of laps at a ball game.
Drew Jones faced Shohei Ohtani and got a hit off of him.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. And
Jackson is happy future broadcasters have more women to look up to, something she didn't have much of as a kid. And after 2 decades in the Phoenix market, she certainly has become one herself. In Phoenix, Jonah Krell, Cronkite Sports Report.
This summer, you can catch Jody Jackson's coverage of the Arizona Diamondbacks, and you can listen to the broadcast team of Cindy Brunson and Ann Myers-Drysdale during Phoenix Mercury games. Still to come on Cronkite Sports Report. Bobby Hurley just watched his brother win a national championship as a coach at UConn. How Bobby wants to do the same at Arizona State. And the story of wrestler Anthony Robles will soon hit the big screen, but his legacy continues to grow at Mesa High School.
Welcome back to Cronkite Sports Report. ASU's Bobby Hurley has had an up-and-down tenure as head coach of Sun Devil basketball, but the former Duke star turned college coach is finally getting ASU back on track after the program struggled through COVID and dealt with a myriad of transfers. A trip to the NCAA tournament this year and a new 2-year contract extension has Hurley feeling optimistic. Sammy Miller sat down with Hurley to discuss this past season and where to go from here.
So, Coach, you had an incredible season, a very special one. You had a great group of guys, and they battled until the very last seconds in Denver against TCU. What are you most proud of from this season?
Well, we had some really good moments, starting early in the season with our championship up in Brooklyn to play at the Nets facility there, and to go out and beat VCU in Michigan, and the way we impressively won that game, and to see the guys play that well, and win a championship early was great. From there we transitioned into league play and got off to a really good start. Just remember that big game here versus UCLA when we were 15-3 and they were undefeated, and it was kind of for first place. So it was kind of a culmination of like where we had gone and how far we had gotten. And
you've been at the helm of this program since 2015. You just recently got your contract extension. How excited were you when you heard the news?
Well, I mean, Arizona State means a lot to me, and it was, I had 2 years as a head coach at Buffalo, and that's where I got started as a head coach. But this feels like home for me. I've created a lot of memories here, relationships, coached a lot of guys that are playing all over the world right now. And I want to be there for them when their seasons end and they want to come back and share. So, and I like the direction we're going. We got some guys to build with, and we've been very aggressive in the portal and with other recruiting, and so I like where the program is right now.
Now, of course, we have to talk about the Final Four. You were able to see your brother, Dan Hurley, the head coach of UConn men's basketball, win that championship. Take me through the emotions of watching him, confetti coming down, holding that trophy up in the air.
Our season ended, so to be able to even go to Vegas and see him, play so dominantly versus Arkansas and Gonzaga, and to know he was going to a Final Four, because I did it as a player, so I understand and feel how special that is to do it. But for Dan to take it to a different level and actually win those games and become a champion, it's just great for our family. And as close as Dan and I are, I just couldn't be any prouder and happier for him.
Now, I know you must have countless memories sitting on a couch watching basketball with your dad. You learned the game with your dad right there. So what is one of the biggest pieces of advice he has given you that you've taken with you in your journey?
Yeah, my dad is just special, what he does, and there's very few people that are as good at coaching basketball as he was, but it was more than that to him. It was about caring about the kids and trying to help get kids to college, and he was like a father figure for a lot of the guys he coached. So I think that's important to me. It's not just transactional here. It's personal. There's relationships you want to build with your players. You want to help them as much as possible.
I know it may seem like it's so long until it's opening night at Desert Financial Arena, but more than anyone, time flies, and it's going to be here before we know it. So how excited are you to be back in DFA with Sun Devil fans all around cheering you on for your next season?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have positive momentum, and that's after 2 tough years in COVID. I think we have that in the rearview mirror. we have some players that want to be a part of this again that we could, kind of build with and then build out from there. And we've already been able to get some stuff done in recruiting, and we'll continue to work the next few weeks to kind of put the team together. But it's always, as a coach, that's why I kind of love college, because you do get some change, and you'll have some guys that were great to you, and they're going to move on and go into their pro life, and then there's a new crop that's coming in, and you could really try and evaluate that and see where this team is going to lead you, and over the course of the next few months, get what kind of team do we have? What are our strengths? What do we need to work on? So as a coach, it's always fun, that part of the season, just to see what things will look like in November and December.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. I wish you and your team the best of luck this season.
Thank you. Awesome. Good talking to you. Thank you.
While Bobby was always an inspiration to his brother growing up, now we can look to Dan for having the blueprint on how to turn a program around and lead them to a national championship. Still to come on Cronkite Sports Report. Anthony Robles mentors the next generation of wrestlers, while Hollywood turns its inspiring story into a movie.
Welcome back to Cronkite Sports Report. From the mat to the movie screen, former Sun Devil and NCAA wrestling champion Anthony Robles has officially begun shooting a feature film about his inspiring life journey as an athlete.
The movie comes at the same time Robles finished his first season as Mesa High School's head coach and welcomed his first child into the world. Noel Blumel stopped in Mesa to check in on Robles in his new phase of fame and fatherhood.
Take advantage of it. That's all you got to do. Okay? The rest's going to take care of itself. You just go out there, have fun, wrestle the way you know how to wrestle and the way you've been doing it.
Those at Mesa High School know his name.
Hey, Mesa! Varsity to the room!
Those a part of Mesa High wrestling know his story.
Keep it, keep it! Ah.
Anthony Robles, the one-legged NCAA wrestling champion, ESPY award winner, and inspiration.
I was blessed and honored to kind of get a corner section of the room. I didn't know they were going to do this, but just kind of some of the accomplishments here.
Most recently, wrestling head coach at his alma mater.
Once I got done wrestling in high school, I knew that eventually I would love to circle back around and be a high school coach, specifically at Mesa High School, because I would not have the life that I have now had it not been for this program, and that's why I want to get back to it.
He's homegrown. He came up through this program. He understands the traditions, and because of that, he was the right man for the job.
This decision marked a new chapter in Robles' life. He said one of the many benefits with this new position is the familiar support system around him. Robles' former coach at Mesa, Bobby Williams, has been with Anthony every step of the way.
The issues that he's working out in his head, very similar to when he was wrestling. He's been able to establish himself, and he's always had such a great impact on everybody around, including these kids here.
And that impact has shown all throughout this season.
I'm proud of you. Shake it off, we got a new one, okay?
One of Robles' 2 state champions from this first season, Rowan Knighting, finished state runner-up his junior season. After that match, a distraught Knighting was approached by then freshman coach Robles. Knighting said if it weren't for Robles, he would have quit for good. And what about that moment was different from coaches in the past that made it so special for you in your career?
He didn't yell at me. He just told me that no matter what, there's more opportunities ahead. That's definitely a defining moment in our relationship, because I said if this guy believes in me, I can't not believe in me.
I remember that moment, and I had been there before. That was something special, and that's why I'm here. I want to help put them back together and just help them realize, I can do this. I can keep going. And so they're going to look back and say, that changed my life in some way.
Robles' wrestlers aren't the only kids he's cared for this season. Robles and his wife Laura recently welcomed their first child, a baby boy named Abel.
So many things to look forward to. The future of this program, my little boy, my family. I'm very blessed. I'm approaching it the same way as coaching. I can always be better. I can always learn more. I'm going to look to those people that I looked up to as father figures and just learn from them and how I can be better and just leave a positive impact on his life.
Watching him as a father has been he's already amazing at it. the love that he has for Abel just absolutely shines. The way he looks at him, the way he smiles at him, I think it's just natural for Anthony. It's just natural for him to have that impact on people, and to, I know that he's just going to be as inspiring, if not more.
And he's going to be inspiring many others real soon, as Robles' story is officially going from the mat to the big screen. This has been a long time coming for Robles, as he received his first offer to do a movie the same night he won his national title for Arizona State. But he finally feels confident that Unstoppable, the Anthony Robles story, will be told as truthful and authentic as possible.
I didn't want to just sell out for a check. I wanted to make sure that the message was there, and I wanted the movie to be something that I could be proud of, my family could be proud of, because it was going to be with us the rest of my life.
It's going to be an amazing opportunity, and then even for Abel to watch. That's the crazy thing, is that's how Abel's going to know his dad.
Although it is not known who will play Robles in the movie, he made it known that he will be doing his own wrestling scenes, and that the film will not be just a sports movie.
To me, it's we all wrestle with a challenge. It could be physical, it can be mental, family, whatever. There's always a challenge in life. How do you respond to it?
Like I said, I think if people see that and think, wow, if he can do it, there should be no reason. I have no excuse for not being able to push through and do it myself too.
The film is being produced by Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, a Hollywood duo that has gone from underdogs to unstoppable, a story Anthony knows quite well. In Mesa, Noelle Blumel, Cronkite Sports Report.
That'll be a fun movie to watch. And did you know, Lindsay, he's also a Guinness World Record holder?
I did. Pull-ups, right?
Yes, he holds the record for the most pull-ups in 1 minute with an 80-pound weight attached.
That's right, and I believe last summer he attempted to break the Guinness World Record for most pull-ups in 24 hours, but a bicep injury forced him out at the 9-hour mark.
And maybe he'll try one again, but everything he's done up to this point has been truly remarkable. That's going to do it for this edition of Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Matt Venezia.
And I'm Lindsay Zinti. On behalf of everyone involved with the show, thank you for joining us.